So we have taken different visibility studies, okay, or the different methods of doing a visibility study to check whether the project can be done financially or not. We have taken cost-benefit analysis. Okay, we have taken cost-benefit analysis in which we try to measure the costs and the benefits. And we said if the project is having more costs compared to the benefit, it means that the project is not a suitable one. If the project is having more benefits compared to the costs, then it would be a good one, because we said the benefits are something good, and then the costs are something which are bad. Okay, so we can either compare directly. Okay, we can either compare directly, or we can get something called benefit to cost ratio. Okay, we can get benefit to cost ratio. So either we compare directly the value, which is bigger or which is higher. So 7,600 is more than 4,050 riyals. So benefits are more, or another scenario or another method of assessing that we take the benefits to cost ratio. So dividing the benefit to cost ratio. 7,600 divided by 4,050, it will give you 1.87. Okay, it will give you 1.87. It means it returns back to say for you if the benefits are more than the cost. If you are having a benefit cost ratio, can you turn off your mic? Okay. If you are having a benefit to cost ratio which is more than 1, it means that benefits are more. It means that the project is good. Once again, make sure that you're okay. Is it clear now? Is it clear for this part? Are we clear for this part? Okay. Now after the cost benefit ratio, we have taken scoring models. And if you remember in scoring models, what we have done, we put certain categories and we try to evaluate our projects in terms of these categories. Like we have profitability, marketing potential, and number of customers. So at the beginning, okay, at the beginning, you need to identify the categories and then evaluate each and every project to that particular category. Finally, the project which has more value in terms of all categories is going to be the best project. Like in this scenario, we have got 30 for the barber shop and laundry. Means that these two projects are better than, okay, these are better than the supermarket. Okay. And then after that, we have taken cash flow analysis where we are measuring more into values, more into numbers. Okay. Now here, if you can see, whatever cost benefit analysis or scoring models here, we are not measuring the return. We are not measuring whether the project will return money for me or not. So in case of benefit, it's not necessarily going to be money. It can be a service as well, or it can be a saving. Okay, it does not need to return back money. So we cannot measure it in terms of money. That's why we call it cost benefit. We don't call it cost profit. Okay, benefit can be either money or a service. Okay, scoring models as well. You can see that we have only scored them according to the categories without mentioning the values, without mentioning how much money is expected. So these two methods are rough methods only. The cost benefit analysis, scoring models, these are rough methods only, which are used for basic visibility. Okay, and then we have cash flow analysis. Now, the difference between the first two and the third one, we are talking about money. We are talking about how much to return. We are talking about values, numbers in terms of money. Okay, So if we go to cash flow analysis, you will see that we have four methods. Okay, four methods. The first one is payback period, and we said for payback period, if you remember, we said that it is the period where we are returning back our amount of money. And we said it's always going to be better if I return back my money earlier. So that money can be used somewhere or can be invested somewhere else. Okay. And then after the payback period, we have taken different methods, which are discounted cash flow and internal rate of return. And we said all of these three methods, although we didn't take the net present value, but all of these three methods are depending on the concept of future value and the present value. And we said always we are going to depend on something called the present value. We don't depend on something called the future value. Future is not something which is guaranteed, so always you should depend on whatever existing value. Now in discounted cash flow, if you remember, in discounted cash flow, what we have done, we had an investment value. Okay, we had an investment value. This investment value needs to be compared with the actual value of that particular project. So here, for example, the investment that I'm willing to put for the supermarket, or the investment that they have asked me to put for this supermarket, is 100,000 Oman Riyal. But actually, the present value of this particular project is only 93,915. It means that I'm overvaluing the project. It means that they are asking me to pay more than the actual value of the project. Okay. Now the other scenarios where cars, portion shop, and restaurants are there, we said 60,000. I'm willing to invest, or 60,000 has been asked for an investment, and then the actual value of that particular project right now is 60,106. It means that if I go and invest 60,000, it means that I didn't lose. I'm getting whatever the present value of that particular project. And we said, in order for me to know these values, we should be using an equation where its present value equals to future value 1 plus I to the power of n. And we said PV is present value, FV is future value, I is going to be your interest or profit. We said if you are paying it, like the example of the bank, then it's an interest. If you are receiving it, we call it as a profit rate. Okay. And then n is the number of years. And we have given an example showing how would you choose the project according to this particular method. So in this particular method, which is discounted cash flow, I'm trying to compare directly the investment, the amount of investment required, with the actual value of this particular project. Now in internal rate of return, I'm trying to measure now. There is an investment. Okay, they're asking me to put an investment. I'm trying to see how much is the percentage of profit now. Okay, I'm not trying to evaluate how much is the existing present value. Okay, I'm trying to see. My main desire is not the present value. My main desire here is to evaluate how much profit it will be generated for me. Okay, so here I'm taking this particular project as a live project where my main concern is mainly the profit. It's not going to be about selling this project to somebody else. If you are selling the project to somebody else, then you take care a lot about how much is the present value. When we talk about I want a project that will generate for me profit, then we are referring about the percentage of profit. So you can see here, we use the same equation, but now we try to find the value of I. And if you remember, I have derived for you the equation and I have told you how to get an I value. And we said, if we are getting a higher percentage, it means that the profit is going to be more for me. Okay. The higher the percentage the project, the better the project. So you can see here, we are getting 4.66% each and every year. Here we are getting 11.87 and here we are getting 8.97. So of course, the better project is going to be supermarket with a higher percentage of profit. Are we okay till now? Very good. Very good. I just repeated it because some of the students were confusing between discounted cash flow and then internal rate of return. Okay, and then we have net present value, and then net present values is using the concept of discounted cash flow as well. He is using the concept of discounted cash flow. We'll see how this is working. So we took the same example of the supermarket, the car washing shop, and then the restaurant with 100,000 for the supermarket, 60,000 for the car washing shop, 74,000 for the restaurant. Now, what happens here? We are estimating a cash inflow in each and every year, or cash flow. How much is the cash flow in each and every year? Now, previously in discounted cash and in discounted cash flow, we estimated only one value at the end. Now, in this method, we are trying to estimate the cash flow each and every year. Cash flow is the amount you are getting. Okay, cash flow is the amount that you are getting. So you can see here, for example, I have got in supermarket 40,000 for the first year, and then second year it was 27,000. Third year it was the same for the car washing shop, the same for the restaurant. So in each and every year, what we have tried to do, we try to check how much approximately I'm going to get. Okay, so these are tentative values, and I kept saying the same thing for your other section. I told them any question that has more than one value, it has more than one opinion. It will ask you to estimate. It will not come in the test. Any question that is asking you to estimate, it is not going to be coming to your test. You are not supposed to do any estimation for your mean time. Estimation will be done by a person who is already in that particular field or already having some experience, or he is getting it from somebody who is having experience. Okay, so any question that have more than one answer, it will not come for your it will not come in your exam. In your exams, only definite answer questions will be coming. Only one answer for each and every question. Are we okay? In spite of that, you should know the methodology. That's why I'm giving you some numbers so you can understand rather than only defining the method for you. Are we okay? Okay. Okay. So now what you see in that particular method in discounted cash flow, we had one value at the end of the period, and we try to compare, or we try to get the interest rate, okay, and we try to compare it with only the last year. Now we learned that the value of the item that we are having today is not the same tomorrow. It's not the same the day after. It's not the same after 1 year. It's not the same after 2 years. So this method is more detailed than the discounted cash flow. Okay. Why? Because they have taken each and every year separately. Okay. They didn't wait for a long time, so they will calculate. No, they have calculated for each and every period. So now to keep it a little bit clearer, what we have done here, we say the total inflow, the total cash flow that we are getting for this project is 102,000. Here we have got 68 and 500. Here we have got 81,200. Okay. And then we said there is a 10% profit rate. There is 10% profit rate, 10% interest rate. Okay. Now what we are trying to do, for each and every value here, we are trying to get the present value. Okay, we are trying to go and get the present value. Okay. So for example, this cash inflow is happening after 1 year, right? Okay. This cash inflow is happening after 1 year. Are we okay? The cash flow here is happening only after 1 year. I get that 40,000 after 1 year. Are we okay?
Yes, yes, Mr. Yes.
Now, if I get it after 1 year, it means that 40,000 is the future value, is not a present value. 40,000. Now I'm expecting after 1 year, I'll be getting 40,000. It means now this 40,000 is the future value that I'll get, or I am expecting to get after 1 year. Now I want to see this 40,000 is going to be having how much present value at that time. Okay, it means if I have now 36,000 today, if I have 36,364 with 10% profit rate, after 1 year it will become to be 40,000. Once again, if I go and invest 36,000 today, 36,364 with 10% interest rate, after 1 year, it will come 40,000. Are we okay? We take 36,364, we multiply it by 1 plus I is 10%. It's 1 year only. So 1.1, it's going to come for you as 40,000. Are we okay? Okay. So it's true that I'm getting 40,000 after 1 year. But after 1 year, because of the 10% interest, because of the change of value of money, actually it's worth 36,000 only. Okay. So what we have done here, we try to do the same. Okay, we try to do the same. Okay. So we got 40,000 Oman area divided by 1 plus I 1.1. So this is 36,364. Okay. So this is the future value. 40,000 is the future value. We need to get the current present value. Okay. So 20,000, it's 18,182. Once again, 20,000 divided by 1.1. Once again, this is returning back to the equation. If you remember, we said, if you remember, present value is equal to future value divided by 1 plus I to the power of n. Okay, the future value is representing 20,000, 40,000, 49,200. 1 plus I is representing your 10%, so it's 1.1. It's 1 year only, that's why I don't need to have any power. So 20,000 divided by 1.1, it has a value of 8. The total inflow is the value that I'm expecting to get after 3 years. I'm expecting to get 40,000 plus 20,000, 27,000 plus 35,000. I got 100,000 and 102,000. Okay, 102,000, and the same thing for the other projects. But this 102,000 is going to be having a worth of how much for me? So this is going to be having a worth of 92,727. Okay, it has a worth for me of 92,900 or 727 for me. Okay. Now what we try to do here, This is the expected. This is the expected after 3 years. This is the actual value of the money at that time. Okay. It means that if I have invested this 92,000 today, at that time I'll be getting 102,000. Okay. So how to get this 92,727 is by adding the discounted cash flows. So 36,000 plus 24,000 plus 31,000, it will give you 92. Okay. Now, the project which is good, okay, the project which is good is going to be the project which has, okay, which has, how come this is, just try. We have 1 plus 2. Okay. So here, okay. Okay. Now, for you to say there are mistakes with the numbers here. Yeah, there are mistakes with the numbers here. Anyhow, now for you to say which project is going to be good, is going to be the project which has a net present value, okay, which has a higher net present value by deducting these two, okay, by deducting these two values. Okay, by deducting these two values, we can say 102,000, okay, minus 92,000, 68,000 minus 62, 81 minus 73, and then you will get the higher one. So if we go and see 102,000 minus 92,727, so 9,000. Should be doing. Okay. Okay. So now, whatever we have got, the net present value. Net present value is deducting. When we say net present value, okay, we are trying to deduct the values. So 102,000 minus 92,000, it will give you 9,273. Here we have 6,000. Here we have 7,000. And the best project, of course, is a project which has more net present value. Okay, which has more net present value. You cannot hear me? You could not hear me? Have you understood? There was a problem with the calculation, so I have modified it for you. Are we okay? Are we fine? Okay, so it's always recommended for these. Yeah, more net value is good, of course. Okay, for these calculation, normally for these calculation, we keep using Excel. Okay, where Excel will not make mistake. Okay. So once again, if you see the difference between the methods, if we see the difference between the methods, payback period is referring to measuring a period. Payback period is referring to measuring a period. We are trying to see if the project will return our investment faster, or what you call it will take time. Like for example, if I said for you, I have found a building in which that I'm going to return my money in 11 years. Is it going to be a good choice or a bad choice? Once again, I said there is somebody who has told me that I have a building for you, and I have done a calculation. It appears for me in 11 years, I'll be getting my money back. Is it a good project or a bad project? Only I have given you this information. The information of 11 years. Would you go for it or you will not go for it? No. You will not go for it. Why? Okay, once again, I said for you, I told you, somebody has told me that there is a building for investment if you want. So I told him, okay, how much and how much is the expected rent? So I have done my calculation and it appears for me that within 11 years, I'll be returning back my money. When it comes to construction, is it something good or bad? Is it a good choice to go for 11 years or no? And why? This is a very technical question in construction actually. Why is it bad choice? Why is it okay? So if it's 9, for example, if it's 9. By the way, you are talking about investments when we talk about buildings. Okay, when we talk about buildings and reality, we talk about huge amount of investment. And this huge amount of investment is not possible to return back within a very short duration of 1 year or 2 years. That's not something which is logical. Okay, so I didn't tell you, Aaron, I didn't tell you whether the project is huge or not. It's not huge. So what did you do? Okay, I'll give you a hint. See, normally, or typically when it comes to construction, each and every 10 years, we require to do maintenance for the building. Normally in construction, for each and every 10 years, normally we require to do a full maintenance for the building. Okay, so if you already exceeded 9 or 10 years, it means that you need to pay certain amount of money from whatever you have got as a rent. You need to pay it for maintenance. Is it clear? So instead of getting the full rent, you have been forced to pay certain amount of rent for the maintenance. Okay, in which now your period is not going to be 11 years anymore. It's going to be 11 years plus the period required to return back whatever you have paid for the maintenance.
مستر يقطع شوي عندك.
Others, you can hear me? Or it's the same case with Abdurrahman? No, it's not clear that much. Okay, I'll go out and then I'll try to interact. That is a network of the quality. Are you able to hear me? Able to hear me now? Okay. Okay. Yes, okay, no problem. Now, my question was related to a construction project, and we said if we are going to invest, that amount of money, normally in construction, if we are having a building for a cycle of 10 years, normally we require maintenance. Okay, we require maintenance normally each and every 10 or 9 years. Okay, it means that if my return period is 11 years, it means that the amount which I'm going to get, okay, some of the amount which I'm going to get, I need to pay it for the maintenance, which is an extra charge. So eventually, I'm not going to be able to return back my money in 11 years. I'm going to be able to return them after only 11 years plus the period required to return the amount for the maintenance. Are we okay? Are we fine? Okay. So normally the typical period for a good investment is normally, let's say, 7 to 8 years. 7 to 8 years. If you get something lesser, then it will be very good, of course. But normally, the good range, is going to go 7, 8, maximum of 9. Yeah, yeah. No, normally it is unlogical or it's illogical to get your return money, especially for large projects. It's illogical normally to return back before 5 years. Before 5 years, but once again that depends on the market at that time. Like for example, now because of coronavirus and whatever, a lot of people are ready to sell their buildings. So you might get it with a cheaper price, and your return period is going to be faster. No, I didn't open anything. Now I didn't open anything. I was still discussing with you the point. I didn't do it. Okay. Are we fine? Are we fine with the concept that normally it's within 7 to 8 years? You try to avoid whatever is more than 9, 10 years. Okay. And we talked about the discounted cash flow, net present value, and then internal rate of return. We said internal rate of return will be depending mainly on the percentage of profit. That's how you judge. discounted cash flow and net present value, you are going to estimate the future and planned value. Discounted cash flow, you are calculating for one time only. You are calculating like year 1, year 2, year 3. Are we okay with these methods? Are we okay with these methods? Okay. This is what I said for you. Even if it's a big construction project, normally it's going to be in that period only, unless you are talking about, for example, for example, build operate system. That's something which is different. Like, for example, some companies are coming to invest in building a power station plant. Okay. Like, for example, whatever we have in Sur, whatever we have in the other areas, okay? That is power station plant, power. In that particular project, the system where it has been made, it's a little bit different. We call it as a BOT. You will learn it later on. It's a build, operate, transfer. So the company who is going to build that particular project is going to build it and get the investment for a certain period. After that period, is going to be transferred to the government. Okay, it's going to be transferred to the government. So for that particular type of project, normally the reasoning or the good period is going to be around 20 to 30 years for that particular type of investment. Okay, are we fine? But for buildings normally it's 7 to 8 years, because after that you start your regular maintenance normally. Are we okay? Okay. After checking the visibility, we said first we need to have an idea. After checking the idea, whether it's an opportunity, whether it's a problem, after that we are going to check it financially. So it's visibility study. After the visibility study, I'll be able to answer why this idea has been chosen, how much net profit is expected. Okay. Two things are there still to be answered. One, which place in Oman you will consider, and what issues you may face. Now these two are going to be answered whenever you are talking about key stakeholders. Now, of course, for example, when I pick, let's say that the picked project was a restaurant. Now, for me, it's very important. To not keep my restaurant in a place where there are a lot of restaurants. Okay, there are a lot of competitors already, or in a place where suppliers are not there, or in a place where the customers are not there. Are we clear? So in order for me to say which place is good, I need to do a stakeholder analysis. And if you remember, we have talked about stakeholder. Okay, we talked about stakeholders. So here, in this particular time where we are talking about initiation, okay, you are not required to do the analysis of stakeholders. You are only required to know who are the basic stakeholders, who are the key stakeholders. For example, in a restaurant, I need to know the competitors. I need to know who will be my customers. I need to know the building owner or the tenants. I need to know, for example, the suppliers. These are key stakeholders for me, and I need to know the workers. Okay, these are the key stakeholders which will be affecting where I'm going to put my restaurant. Are we clear? In the planning chapter, we are going to learn how to do a full stakeholder analysis later on. In the initiation, it's not important for you to do the full stakeholder analysis. It's only important for you to know who are the key stakeholders. For example, one of the stakeholders is municipality. I cannot start my restaurant unless the municipality comes and check. Okay, so it's important for me before starting to know who are the stakeholders. The same thing for the risks, where it says for you what issues you may face. So to answer this particular question, you need to try to see what are the possible risks. How would you try to know the risks? How would you know the risks? For example, I was planning to open a restaurant. How would you go and open? How would you go and or how would you know the risks? How would you know the issues that might occur for you while opening this or while operating this particular restaurant? Now, are you able to hear me?
يس مستر بس مستر شوي تكبير الشاشة عشان توضح القراءة.
مو اسوي؟
تكبير للشاشة عشان نشوف البوربوينت واضح. مو واضح. اللون ازرق مو واضح.
Is it fine now?
Yes now.
Okay, so we said 4 questions. The first one is answered by what idea you are going to take. Net profit is going to be referring to the visibility study. We said which place is going to be depending on the stakeholders, and we said issues are going to be related to the risks. So one, as Shuruq said, you need to ask people who are in the same field. So I'll be asking people who have opened the restaurant. Now in a restaurant, what were the issues when you have opened? How did you overcome these issues? How did you solve them? Is it clear? So this is one way of knowing the problems. Now, is it important for you to know the risks before starting? Is it important for you to know the risks before starting this project? Okay. So when we talk about initiation, when we try to finalize that this idea is good or not, we have 4 points to study. First, we need to study the idea, that the idea is good. The project that I'm taking is sustainable. I'm not taking a project where there are a lot of competitors. I'm taking a project to solve either a problem or to because I'm having a certain opportunity. After I have this idea, I have measured this financially, which is the visibility study. So after finishing the visibility study that I have the money, I have the sufficient money to start this business is going to give me a good output or a good return or a good profit. Then the next step to see, do I have a lot of stakeholders? Will these stakeholders cause me a lot of issues? Okay. And if I open this restaurant, what are the issues going to be? Like for example, have you seen the coffee shop that is supposed to be opened in the new building, at the entrance of the new building? Have you seen that new coffee shop? There was a coffee shop, right? Near to the, what's it called? Okay, near to the entrance of the new building, right? Okay. Now, one of the risks for that particular coffee shop is the fact that the college is closing for 3 months or 2 months. Now he needs to ensure whatever amount that he is getting, or whatever number of customers that he is aiming to get is sufficient throughout the 10 months. Because 2 months will be off, students will not be there. Is it worthy for me to open and there is a big risk that I might not get whatever I want? Or for example, I'm going to pay for the labors for 2 months without any work. So not only money, but you need to take as well the stakeholders and you need to measure the risks, whether the risks are huge or not. Are we okay? Okay, so after we knew the idea, we checked it financially, we checked who are the stakeholders, and then we checked whether there are huge risks which will cause me a lot of issues or not. Then the next step, you are ready to give it to a person who will create it. If you are an owner, for example, in a construction project, you will give it to a contractor, or you will give it to a project manager if the project is huge. Okay? So in case you are an owner and you want to build, for example, a mall, first thing, there is a concept behind the mall. We have studied it financially, you have checked who are the stakeholders, you have checked what are the huge risks. The next step is that you go and give it to the correct person to start working on that particular project. He will start planning for it. Because you are as an owner for that particular huge project, you are not having the experience to start planning for it. If it's a small building, for example, then you are giving it to the contractor. So the contractor is going to be checking. If it's a huge project, we normally give it to a project manager. Are we okay? Okay. Now, when you go and give it to the project manager, would you just talk to him, or you need to give him a contract? Do you just talk to him that they want you to work, or there should be some kind of document between both of you? There should be a document between both of you, or it's fine, not required. Only verbal is fine. Okay, there should be a contract, or there should be a document, right, between you first. Before going to the contract, there will be a document. You need to tell the project manager certain things before he starts the project, right? You need to inform him about certain things, so he will decide whether to take this particular project or not. Are we okay? So this particular document where the owner is trying to give all the information or the required information to the project manager, we call it as a project charter. We call it as a project charter. Okay, once again, project charter is a document given by the owner to the project manager involving or stating all the required information, and it's giving the authorization for the project manager to start the project. If he agrees, he can start now the project. Are we clear? For small projects, this project charter is not required. For big projects, when you start shifting the project from you to the project manager, you need to inform him all the required information. So he will accept or reject. And this document, if he agrees to it, then he is now officially representing the client and having the authorization to start the project. And this is coming from project starter. Okay, project starter. Okay, another name for it, or it's referred to project starter. It's where the project really starts. Okay, so project starter refers to project starter. In project starter or in project charter, there are certain things there are certain things needs to be mentioned for the project manager. Now, do I need to tell him the project purpose? Do I need to tell the the project manager why I'm doing this particular project, or it's not important? Is it important for him to know why I'm doing this project so he will serve me better, or it's not important? He should know what's in your mind. He should know what's in your mind so he can defend that particular purpose perfectly. He should know as well what are the measurable objectives and what are the success criteria. When you will say that this is okay and this is not okay. When do you want me to finish the foundation? When do you want me to finish this stage? So there should be kind of measurable objectives. Because for me, this is where I'm going to say whether I can do this project or not. If your objectives are not measurable, there are no data about your objectives, then it's a huge thing which cannot be done easily. It requires a lot of delays later on. On what criteria you are going to tell me that this particular project was a success or it was a failure? Is it submitting the project on time? Is it not exceeding the budget? What type of success criteria that you are looking for? Requirements and boundaries. Once again, referring to how much is your budget, how much is your time, any limitation that you are having, you should state them for me. So I'll make sure that these are not to be exceeded. Are you with me? Okay. So for example, measurable objectives and success criteria. Like Oman Mall, for example, they have said, okay, the project will last for 3 years or 4 years, but I want you to finish for me the foundation. I want you to finish the foundation for me in, for example, let's say 1 month. Okay. I want you to finish for me the foundation in 1 month. One of the objectives of the project is to complete the foundation. Now, this objective has a measurement. Okay, it's a measurable objective. It says that I need to finish it in 1 month. It means that I need to reach to that particular point. Okay, the objectives are not only mentioned, but these objectives are measurable. Something similar to your assessment. Now, if I say for you that your test number 1 and then test number 2 and then assignment and then final examination, these are the objectives. Okay, you need to do these things. But are they measurable? Is there any specific values over there? You need to you need to get. If that's the case, then we call them as a measurable objectives. Success criteria that you need to get, for example, 67. If you didn't get 67, you fail. Is this clear? It's not only measuring objective, it's not only objectives, but these objectives needs to be measurable in values. Are we okay? Shuruk, are we fine? Do I need to tell him the key stakeholders and risks? Do you think that we need to tell him the key stakeholders and risks? Of course, it's important, okay, because he is the one to deal now with the project. Now you are outside of the view. As an owner, you don't have the experience to deal with a huge project. Okay, so you have been given the project fully to the project manager to manage it. Okay, so of course you need to tell him who are the key stakeholders and key risks. So he will know how to deal with these people or these situations. Do I need to mention to mention in that particular document who is the assigned project manager? Do I need to mention the name of the project manager, the authorization, what are the responsibility level? Do I need to mention? Or no need to mention his name? What are the things that he has the right to do? What are the things he cannot do? Is it important? It's very important, because if I have given him the full authority, he can change whatever he wants. He can change whatever drawings were there. So you need to make sure that the name of the project manager is mentioned, the authorization, what type of authorization is there, and then the responsibility level as well. Last thing, if there are any sponsors involved in the project, I need to tell the project manager as well. Because for me, I don't want to lose these sponsors, and this project manager needs to know how to communicate properly with these sponsors, or how to get their attention. Are we fine? So did you understand what is project charter? Once again, project charter is a document given by the owner to the project manager stating the most important things. We say project purpose is very important. Objectives which are measurable, and success criteria when you will say for me that this is okay and this is not okay. Limitations, or when we talk about boundaries or constraints, what is the maximum budget allotted? What is the maximum time that we can get? Who are the stakeholders so we can know how to deal with them? What are the biggest issues so I'll keep an eye on them? My name should be there. The type of authorization for me as a project manager. What is my responsibility? What is the responsibility of the owner? Am I going to be the one to do the drawings, or the owner is going to be bringing the drawings for me? Okay. And then eventually at the end, name of sponsors, because I don't want to lose the sponsors as an owner. Okay. So the project manager needs to keep an eye on the sponsors and needs to know how to satisfy them as well. Are we clear about the project charter? Are we fine about the project charter? Okay, so once again, when we talk about initiation, it is the part we are trying to take an idea, evaluate that particular idea into different let's say different ways. The first way, we need to evaluate it financially. Financially is whatever we call it as whatever we call it as a feasibility study. The second thing, we need to evaluate it in terms of stakeholders. Are the stakeholders clear? There are many stakeholders. I can communicate with these stakeholders or not. And then the third thing, whether this project is having a lot of issues, a lot of risks or not. Now, after you finished your evaluation, everything appears to be okay, you need to decide based on the scale of the project whether a project manager is required or not. If a project manager is required, then you need to have a project charter in which you are showing him whatever is required to be done, or whatever are the things not to be exceeded. Now, if the project is small, you can deal with it yourself as an owner with the help of the contractor and the consultant. Okay. Now, after we reach to the project charter, now you will see that this is the turning point from having only an idea to start working in reality about the project. We start working in the sense of we are going to start planning now. The idea is good and everything was done. So the next step is to start planning, which will be taken in the next class. Are we okay with initiation? Did you understand initiation in general? So once again, in initiation, there is an idea, it needs to be properly evaluated. After it has been evaluated, depending on the size of project, we are going to determine whether a project charter is required or not. Now, after we have the project charter, okay, or if the project is small, then we start directly the planning. Okay, we start directly the planning. So in the upcoming lecture, we are going to have the planning. We are going to learn different types of planning. So around 7 or 8 plannings. We are going to learn how to do the planning for each and every areas. We say this chapter is going to take maybe, this is the core chapter, which will take maybe 3 or 4 weeks maybe to finish this particular chapter. Okay. Anyhow, we finished today's lecture. I don't want to push very hard starting the planning and the other sections still. If you have any question, you may ask. If you don't have any question, then I'm going to give you the pop-up quiz so you can do it. Any questions for whatever you have studied till now? Anything which is not clear? If anything is not clear, you can ask more for whatever we have studied. And once again, my request for you is not to memorize. I don't bring questions from the handout. I don't bring questions from Breezy, it's your handout. I don't bring questions from the Breezy model. I bring questions which are related to understanding. So if you understand, you will answer. If you try to memorize, then you will suffer with me. Yes,
Mr. When will be the first exam?
First test should be in week number 4, which is next week. But till now, it's supposed to be an objective type, which is multiple choice. But still, till now, we are waiting for the confirmation regarding the regarding the test. Till we know that, we'll tell you. But it's supposed to be next week or the week after.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Any other question?
مستر الحين احنا نذاكر من هذه اللي هي البي دي اف اللي نزلناها انت لا 700 وشيء. لما نذاكر من البي دي اف اللي اعطيناها.
If you have seen that 700 including the what you call the effects as well.
ايش
Okay.
انت
So
كم يعني؟
a lot of slides are going to be empty actually. See that. Right?
طيب.
Have you seen this?
Yes.
So I would rather ask the students to go and study from the videos or to study from the Breezy directly, better than the video. Okay. If you have seen the PDF, you will see a lot of slides are having only are empty, having only transitions. Now, Reem upload classes of initiation. The classes are already uploaded in YouTube. You can go and see them in the YouTube directly. All the lectures, whatever has been finished till now, has been already uploaded in the email. So after half an hour, you will find this lecture is already uploaded.
Okay, Mr.
Mr.
No, you can go.
Mr.
Tell me.
Can you upload the handout of previous semester because the information from the slide are not sufficient enough to study from?
No, you cannot use the previous semester because the topics are totally different.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
And once again, you are not supposed to be memorizing. Go through the videos, go through the breezy, use your logic, use whatever is surrounding you, as I told you. When you try to think about project management, think only about the things surrounding you. Everything is only around you. That's why I keep giving you examples of restaurants. I keep giving you examples of coffee shops and whatever, because these are easy for you to understand. I wouldn't go and give you very technical examples of construction whatsoever. You don't need to complicate yourselves with things which are complicated. Projects are available each and everywhere, whether you are talking about construction or you are talking about any other field. If you understood the basic thing about them, then you can easily answer whatever question you have. Ahmed, regarding the YouTube channel, whatever link you have seen previously, you can click on it and then you can see you can see the channel over there and all the videos, you can see them under project management. Okay, you can see them under project management. Any question? Any other questions? Now you shouldn't worry a lot about your marks and tests and whatever. My main goal is to let you understand. If you understood the things, that's more than sufficient for me. Okay? So don't worry. As long as you are trying to understand, things will be okay. Are we fine? Okay. So now go to your e-learning. Go to your e-learning. And take your class. You take your exam. I'll open it now. It's not yet open. Okay, so now it's opening. Meanwhile, for the preparation for the test, for the preparation of the test, I'm going to upload for you the previous exams. Normally, I share with the students the previous exams because normally I don't repeat my exams. So you can go and see these questions. You can try them. If you have any doubt, you can ask about them. And if there is time, we will have one revision session before the tests. So you can ask whatever question you want. Are we fine? Okay. So best of luck.